cloud security, it can feel like this constant battle, right? A real tug of war between total chaos and having some semblance of control. So today, we're going to give you the playbook to tip those scales and tip them firmly in your favor. We're going to transform security from this thing that stresses you out into a system you can actually command, measure, and trust.
So what's really at stake here? Well, this number right here, this is what we're talking about. According to IBM's latest report, that is the average cost of a single data breach. Now, that's a staggering amount of money, but here's the crazy part. It's not how these breaches happen that's shocking, it's why.
And this is the absolute key. That multi-million-dollar disaster, it almost never kicks off with some shadowy hacker in a hoodie pulling off some brilliant, super complex attack. Nope, it almost always starts with something simple, a setting that was clicked by mistake. A permission that was just a little too generous. It's a slip-up that was totally preventable.
So that brings up a really fundamental question. Is getting cloud security right just a roll of the dice, or is it about truly understanding where your job begins and where it ends? If we want to get control, we've got to understand the rules of the game first.
Okay, so this right here. This is probably the single most important concept in all of cloud security. It's called the shared responsibility model. Every major player, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they all live by this. Basically, they secure the massive global infrastructure, the concrete data centers, and the silicon servers. And it's your job to secure everything you decide to build on top of it.
This breaks it down perfectly. Just think about it like this. Your cloud provider is the landlord of your apartment building. They're on the hook for the building's foundation, the security guards at the front door, the physical structure itself. But you, the tenant, you're responsible for locking your own apartment door and for keeping all the stuff you put inside it safe. Okay, so we get our responsibilities. Now let's talk about the super common ways people mess this up. These are those simple, everyday mistakes that lead directly to those million-dollar headlines.
This is basically the greatest hits of cloud misconfigurations. I mean, opening a management port to the whole internet, that's not just leaving your front door unlocked. It's leaving it wide open with a giant neon welcome sign. And this isn't just theory. Think about the massive Capital One breach. That mess that hit over 100 million people, it came down to exactly this stuff. A misconfigured firewall and a user that had way too much permission. These are the basics attackers are scanning for 24/7.
So how do you even begin to defend against all this? Well, it's not about finding one single silver bullet. It's a strategy called defense in depth. And the idea is actually really simple. You have to assume that any one of your defenses could fail, so you build multiple overlapping layers of protection around your most important stuff.
All right, this is where we get to the fun part, the how-to. We're actually going to build that fortress. We're going to put together a solid, multi-layered defense system, and we're going to start from the inside out, right at the most critical piece, your data.
So here's the blueprint, right? A real digital fortress has layers. Right at the core, we have the crown jewels, your data just sitting there on a disk. We call that data at rest. The next layer out protects that data as it's zipping across the network. And that final, outer layer, that's the perimeter, the wall that guards the gates against incoming attacks. Let's hit each one.
Okay, first up, data at rest. Now, most cloud services encrypt your data by default these days, which is awesome. But the real control, the real power, comes from answering the question, who holds the keys to unlock it? By using services like AWS KMS or Azure Key Vault or Google's Cloud KMS, you get to control the keys. That means you can define exactly who gets to access your data and under exactly what conditions.
All right, next layer, protecting data when it's on the move. The standard here is called Transport Layer Security, or TLS. You absolutely have to be using at least version 1.2, but really 1.3 is the new gold standard. Now, for communication between your own services, that's where mutual TLS, or mTLS, comes in. It's the next level up. It makes sure that not only is the server who it says it is, but the client is too. It's like both people having to show their ID before they can have a private conversation.
Look, no matter how strong your fortress is, you have to be ready for the day an alarm goes off, because real world-class security isn't just about stopping attacks. It's about having a tested, battle-ready plan for when things inevitably go wrong. And trust me, they will.
This is pretty much the standard playbook for incident response, based on the NIST framework. And you can see, it's a loop. it never really ends. You prepare by writing playbooks and drilling your team. You use amazing tools like AWS Guard Duty or Azure Sentinel to detect threats. You move fast to contain the damage and get back online. And then, the most important part, you learn from what happened, so you're even stronger next time.
So I've got to ask you, point blank, is your playbook ready to go right now? Could you run it at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning? Because I promise you, the absolute worst time to figure out who's supposed to do what is in the middle of a full-blown security crisis. Having that plan ready and drilling it is what separates a minor hiccup from a total catastrophe.
So as we start to wrap this up, if you take away only one thing, please let it be this. Elite Cloud Security is not a product you buy. It's not some feature you just bolt on at the end of a project. It's a mindset. You know, it's a process you weave into your culture from the very first line of code you write.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought, because when you get this right, security stops being this blocker, this thing that just slows you down. It actually becomes a business accelerator. It's that strong, reliable guardrail that gives your teams the confidence to move fast and to innovate, knowing they're protected. So the question isn't just, are you secure? But really, is your security helping you win?